All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lily Scannell, Manager of Programs at the Chicagoland Chamber. Welcome to our breakout session today, Project Management for Truly Efficient Business Operations. I'd like to thank Kintone Corporation, who is the host and sponsor of today's session. We will hear from them shortly. First, please note on the right-hand side of your screen is the chat feed, where you'll be able to submit questions that will be addressed at the end of the presentation. You can send a direct message or select session at the top of the feed to communicate with everyone in this breakout session. You should be able to see the first comment here from Nim. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker. As Kintone's technology evangelist, Nim Grinvald understands the value of painless, practical business ops workflows. Nim helps application and citizen developers discover the benefits of unifying their communication with their data on Kintone's easy to build on platform. He also says that you should ask him for his hummus recipe. Nim, it is great to have you here with us today. I see a few people are still joining, so why don't we turn to our audience? I'd like to ask our attendees to share in the chat where you are from and what brought you here with us today.
It's a terrific introduction, Lily. Thank you so much. Yes, folks, welcome. Thanks for being here. And please go ahead and put in the chat. It should be on the right side of your screen. Where are you from? What brought you here today? And we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Chicago, excited for the presentation. Matt, wonderful. Thanks so much for being with us today. Coming in, and you go ahead and put in the chat where are you from, what brought you here today. Also share with us, what tools are you currently using to manage your projects? What tools are you currently using to manage your project? You might be on spreadsheets, you might be on web applications, you might have databases. What are you using to currently manage your projects? Monday.com, great. And if you can get anything from our time here today, what would you want to take? So those are a lot of questions coming at you, no problem. Let's, just go ahead and drop in. Where are you from? What brought you here today? A lot of folks from Chicago. This is exactly what we would expect. Chicago is exactly who we want representing today. What brought you here today? What tools are you currently using to manage your projects? And if you can get anything from our time here today, what would you want to take away? Again, my name is Nim Grinvald, and thanks for joining us on our webinar, Project Management for Truly Efficient Business Processes, or for truly efficient business operations. Looks like we've got a really great crowd here today. Go ahead and put in the chat on the right side of your screen. What brought you here today? If you're not from Chicago, where are you from? And what tools are you currently using to manage your project? Another 2 minutes, and we'll get us rolling at that point. Lenora from St. Augustine College, always looking for new tools to manage projects for my organizations. Well, you're in the right place, Lenora. Thanks for being with us. Happy to have you with us. And what other tools are you using? So we got Monday. Lenora, what kind of tools have you seen out there in the wild that you've used? What are some tools that you've had great success with? And for those folks who are just joining us, we'll go ahead and get started in another minute. What tools are you currently using to manage your project? SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft Project Manager. Okay, great. And if you could get anything from our time here today, what would you want to take away? We'll get started in another 30 seconds. If you're just joining us, go ahead and put in the chat. What brought you here today? If you can get anything from your time here today, what would you want to play? And what tools are you currently using to manage your projects? Brandy from Chicago too. All right, Chicago, Salesforce and Pulse. Wonderful, Brandy. Thanks for joining in, folks. I know you've probably been on many webinars in the last year plus. I try to make it as fun as possible and as interactive as possible. So I invite you to participate with me, drop some questions in on that chat, and keep this engaging. All right, let's get started. So as Kintone's technical evangelist, my role is to share with folks like you our vision of technological empowerment for. And today I'll give you an overview of what we're talking about. Then we'll talk about common challenges managing projects. I'll provide some guidance on useful criteria to keep in mind as you're searching for the right tool to support you in the management of your projects. And we'll look at how Kintone solves those problems. We'll go into an actual demo so you'll be able to see how the platform works. And then we will wrap up with some Q&A. So please note that you can post your questions in at any point, and I will address them when we get into that Q&A. So let's talk about some common project management pain points. High level, that visibility, both at a high level and at a detailed view. It's really useful to be able to drill up to a major milestone level and also down to a task level, and as well as anywhere in between. But it's challenging to arrange the information for a smooth transition. Second, accountability. The major difficulty here is herding the cats, shooting off timely reminders, keeping the communication flowing among team members, and doing what it takes to support people in meeting their deadlines. Third, common project management pain point. Team bandwidth visibility. So it's challenging to see at a glance how much is on each person's plate so that you can reallocate assignments as necessary. Fourth, unexpected changes. They happen. It's predictable that they happen, but their impact is unpredictable. Finally, I want to share a hidden problem that's painful, even though it's not talked about, and that's that communication and data are being stored separately. So what do I mean by that? Well, one team member or department might have spreadsheets or emails or files saved with valuable data that would be useful for others to know. But because access is scattered or it's not easily discoverable, there's this missed opportunity to make the experience of work easier. And even worse, communication about data happens elsewhere. So we talk about data somewhere other than where the data is. So in Slack or email or text or any one of the half-dozen communication channels we use daily. So both the data and the conversations about the data, they're fragmented in many places. Let's take a look at the deeper consequences of this issue. Even prior to COVID, employees were using more and more software applications to get their jobs done. So spreadsheets and their ilk are part of a complex stack of software applications with varying levels of security and accessibility. So email, Slack, text, phones, logs, voicemails, 3 different messaging apps. So on reflection, we burn hours every week searching for information. So whether it's the data itself or a conversation about the data, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. And then, even worse, we end up taking it personally, like there's something wrong with our ability to get everything done. No, it's just that our working environments are not by default set up to make information management and by extension project management easy. So imagine it, there you are, first thing in the morning, you got your fresh cup of coffee, you sit down at work, you start looking for something that your manager is asking you for. Now, are you in the right version of the file? Does it have the information you need? Who was the last person that modified it? When did it change? What's important about it? Suddenly, you've moved across 7 different apps to find not just the data, but the conversations that give it the relevant context. So there's this friction that's baked in, and it comes about when that data and the conversations about the data are scattered in all of the places that you work. And every time that we change context, we need to bring ourselves back to the item at hand. Hundreds of times a day. Yeah, I said that. It's hundreds of times a day. And this is common. So if you're looking to solve these project management problems with a quality tool, here's what you should be on the lookout for. So first, some way to easily capture project status at whatever level you need, whether it's a big picture or a detailed look. Second, automated reminders and notifications, so you can offload your hand-holding to a machine, and that machine will, signal everybody at the right times, and signal the right people at the right times, and that frees you up to focus on the important stuff. And then your teammates are unfailingly, in the meantime, receiving pings that are bringing their attention to where it should be. Third, a way to organize all the talk at each level of the project so it's easy to refer to when clarification is needed. Fourth, a way to keep track of who is assigned to what and what is the deliverable and when it's due. And fifth, the agility to adjust or improve the process as hurdles arise. So Kintone solves these issues in 3 ways. So first of all, by making it accessible for people like you to build the workflows that are going to meet the day-to-day needs of your operations. Second, by having all of the data and all of the conversations about the data all in one place, so everyone can benefit from shared information. And third, by offloading your reminder overhead to the tool. And that tool pings your colleagues so they can see the right item at the right time without your constant intervention. So what is Kintone? Kintone is a no-code platform for teams to easily share and collaborate on their data efficiently. But what do you mean exactly? Well, it's you or someone like you at various parts of the tech comfort level spectrum, whether you're allergic to technology or whether you are a trained software engineer, you can build what we call apps with an intuitive drag and drop canvas. You can imagine an app as a spreadsheet or a table in a database, but with more benefits. So you can easily pass around data from one app to another without any code or Excel wizardry. You can build the forms that are right for your workflows by dragging and dropping fields in a canvas. And you can set up notifications, permissions, reminders, and more. And in addition, topic of interest. So you can think of a space as a visual for a core topic like marketing, sales, or administration. So in one place, you can view and interact with charts, graphs, filtered views, conversations, and records of note. Let's take a look at a sample dashboard inside a space. So here's a snapshot of a sample space. The whole image we're seeing here is a space. A space is an area for people with shared responsibilities to organize data and conversations around a certain topic, like sales, marketing, or HR. Your organization would create multiple spaces, one for each group of related conversations. Space has 3 key sections in it. First, threads. So you can imagine these as blog comments where team members can contribute to a conversation around a single topic. Second, apps. Remember, an app is like a spreadsheet or a table in a database, only easier to use and with more benefits. We have a list of relevant apps, etc. And third, announcements. Imagine this area as a blank canvas you could fill with critical links, records of note, charts, graphs, or filtered record lists so that you can keep the pulse on your workflow. So the main takeaway for you here is to imagine what's possible with a space that solves your burning issues. What is the most important information you want to show front and center? What are the most important conversations you want to have about that information? What are the related piles of data that you want easy access to? We can create a kind of command center here that puts those answers at your fingertips. So let's move from imagination into operation. Now I'll take you through a quick demo. We'll walk through a Kintone project management environment and then show how we build it. And remember, if you have questions, please drop them in the. All right.
Neb, it looks like when you turned your video off, the sound cut out.
Oh, I see. Okay. How about now?
I can hear your sound now.
Okay, great. Welcome to Kintone. In front of you, we see our portal that faces all users, and we have a dashboard, front and center, that links all users to the most important apps in this environment. We can also put graphs, charts, and filtered lists in this zone too. On the right-hand side, we've got items in workflow that are assigned to me. I've got one task, one contact form, 2 invoices, and 3 expense reports flagged for my attention. Now, I've received automated notifications accordingly, notifications that can push to my email or my mobile device. And beneath that, I've got spaces. Now recall, a space is an area for people with shared responsibilities to organize data and conversations around a certain topic. So for example, you could have spaces for sales, marketing, and HR. Let's drill down into the project management space to see the details. And as we walk through this setup, imagine what space you would create. What project workflows are not working well or not working as well as you'd like? So here we are in the project management space. We've got important links front and center, and below that are charts and lists updated on page refresh, real time on demand, that capture answers to key questions like, what are my open to sign tasks? Or how is my team doing? What's their workload? Now, what would be important questions that you'd want to visualize the answers to? You could set up graphs or lists that answer questions like, what major milestones are coming up? Or what did we talk about at our most recent meeting? On the top right-hand side, I'll find my threads. Here I can have conversations about topics like project ideas or the status of current projects in pipeline. Let's take a quick look. Inside of a thread, I can post relevant charts or graphs that guide the discussion. So here we have a column chart of projects that show open tasks by their associated milestone. Now below that, notice the conversation that these coworkers are having, tagging each other to collaborate using the data that they're seeing right in front of them. Let's jump back to the project management space. Below the threads, you'll notice my list of apps. In Kintone, apps house my data, and by data I mean the list of items to be tracked. Here are my apps in the project management space: projects, milestones, tasks, and so on. Now, if you're expecting some of these apps to connect to each other, you've got great intuition. You're absolutely right. In this case, each project has milestones associated with it, and each milestone has tasks associated with it. Now, before we show you how easy it is to create apps, let's check out how apps give us multiple levels of details to work with. First, let's check out the project app. Now, remember, an app is like a spreadsheet in a workbook or an Excel document or a table in a database, only with more benefits. So that layout is exactly what I should expect to see when I drill down into my projects app. I should see a filtered list of records, a table. That's why we call this list, this view, a list view. Now in front of me, I've got my 7 different active projects. And in a bit, we'll show you the different ways to display this aggregated data. For now, let's drill down into one of the records, the B-Schools case study. And what you'll notice immediately in this detail view is the 2 parts to the screen. On the left-hand side, I've got all of the relevant data for this record: the name, the details, and the milestones. These are filtered lists of milestone records that are related in some way to this project. And here we have two lists of milestones. We have our open milestones and our completed milestones, both of which show me data from the Milestones app, but in context over here. So these at-a-glance milestone lists give me quick answers at my fingertips. And I can get similar quick answers about any other related thing I want to track about this project. In this case, I can also see my tasks. I can see my open tasks showing me what's open and when it's due, to whom it's assigned, and what's been done already. In other words, my completed tasks. Now, what about on the right-hand side of the page? So these are my in-record comments. Here I've got our team's conversations about this project. So we've got the data and the conversation about the data in the same place. Now imagine if all your communication was organized and easy to track. What would it be like for you to answer other people's questions by getting pinged on email or mobile when you're needed, and then brought straight to the place where you're needed with all the context right there and without needing to switch around? Can you imagine how much more quickly you could find the stuff you need and get things done? What about being on the receiving end? You've got questions, you ask people your questions, and your answers come in way faster because the tool you're using makes collaboration easy. So this collaboration piece is a really big deal for productivity and for synchronized team effectiveness. Our customers report saving somewhere around 2 to 5 hours a week just by not needing to jump around. That's 1 to 3 days a month of less overhead. Not bad. All right, we're starting to get a sense of what's possible. So what else could we track? Let's use the quick access toolbar to see our milestones laid out on a calendar. Here I am, I've jumped over to the Milestones app. Instead of seeing a record list like we saw with the projects, I'm looking at a monthly calendar of milestones. Now, if I wanted, I can select a different filtered view, perhaps a similar calendar view with different items filtered out, or I can pick a column view, which will show me a filtered list. So I can see my records in several different ways, and I can see my task list in very much the same way. So using my quick access toolbar, I'll navigate over to the Tasks app. And here I am. I'm defaulting to seeing my upcoming tasks on this calendar. Again, I can change to a filtered column list or a different view. I could also view a graph or a chart to help me visualize this list. In this case, in this graph, I can see how tasks are allocated across team members and projects. Now, one other really important benefit of this Tasks app is how I'm automatically notified when a task I'm assigned is approaching its due date. I've set up triggers to go off on open tasks 3 days before, 1 day before, and the day of the deadline. Now you've got a lot of flexibility on how to configure these notifications. And in fact, you can configure each task, each record, with its own series of reminders. That's very useful for folks who really benefit from more reminders. So this can be dialed up or down. Let's dive back into the Tasks app. And we'll pick a record, and we'll talk about workflows. So each of these records, each of these tasks moves through a workflow, what Kintone calls a process. And in this task record, I see that I've not started this workflow. Now, in this case, I've created a simple process, a simple workflow. It's got 3 stages, not started, as we see, and then also in progress and completed. Now, of course, this is just an example. If you have additional steps for approval or more sophisticated branching logic or a need for filtering, you could have that too. We're just keeping it simple today. But from here, I can start the task, moving it from not started to in progress by assigning the task to someone, in this case, Katie. Now, Katie, it just happens that Katie is us today. And Katie will receive a notification telling her that she's been assigned a task, and she'll receive that notification here or over email or as a mobile push notification. So what would it be like if everyone in your organization got pinged when and only when something needed their attention? They could focus on the right thing at the right time. And it's also easier for them to find their own answers. So the time it takes to self-serve drops too. So we've seen Katie's notifications. We can see how we're notified when we're assigned a new task and when those due dates are creeping up on us. So there's lots of power over here. Okay, let's briefly check out our two other apps. We've got our Meeting Minutes app. Now this app holds a record of all of our meetings. In this case, there's just one. And here I can track who attended the meeting, what was covered, who should be notified, and what the next actions are. Very useful. And finally, the Suggestion Box app. I created this custom app to track team members' suggestions and subsequent discussion on whether and how to implement them. So check out this attachments field. I can upload files and view their thumbnails from the list view. Okay, so we just took a very brief tour of a project management space. Now remember, Kintone is a no-code collaboration platform, so these apps are just examples. You could build an app for anything you wanted to track. Really, it's up to you and your imagination. So if you could track anything, what apps would you build? Now, to show you how easy it is to build an app, we'll take a few moments to build one from scratch. You could absolutely spin one up from a pre-existing template. That would take about 3 to 5 clicks. You could also create a new app from a CSV or an Excel file, and you could import data at the same time. And you could also ask us to build your apps for you. You've got lots of options here. Now, I'm going to assume you want more power in your hands. So let's build the beginning of a vendor list together. And what I'm going to do is click on this plus sign right over here, and I'll be taken to a page called the Kintone Marketplace, where I can look through my templates. This is perhaps better called a library than a marketplace. And I can view all of my different templates available to me. What I'm actually going to do is create an app from scratch. So I clicked on this option, and front and center, we have our blank canvas and the name of our app. Let's call it Vendor List. Now on the left side, I've got my palette of fields. On the right side, my canvas. And we can drag and drop fields like this text field from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. It's that easy. Now this kind of agility makes it really simple to build or tweak apps on the fly. No need for developers, no need for technical mastery. Now, if you're already tech savvy, great, you'll pick this up fast. If you're not a tech person, it's designed to be accessible in a way that other software doesn't typically have you in mind for. Okay, so a vendor list. We've already got this text field on the page. Let's use that as a name field. Watch me hover over this corner and change the settings. And we're going to call this name and save. That's it. Now, how about a dropdown for the vendor status? I'll find dropdown from the left-hand side and I'll pull it over to the right. I'll figure out where I want it positioned to. And now I can change the settings. Let's change the settings to change these options. So a vendor can be preferred or standard, or maybe we can have a vendor that we're trialing, or a vendor that we've excluded, we've barred or blacklisted for some reason. So now we have the name and the vendor standing, and we can drag and drop a timestamp field so we know when this record was added to the list. And ultimately, we could add connections and fields so that we can see at a glance what projects these vendors are connected to and what their track record is for on-time results. There are 29 fields total that you can drag and drop. You've got checkboxes and radio buttons. You have calculated fields. There are fields that select other users or departments, as well as fields that'll make this look prettier. So what I want to leave you with over here is a sense of what's possible. Again, let's take stock. We introduced this platform called Kintone, and in a matter of moments, we got a big picture view and a detailed view of our project's status. We received automated reminders and notifications to stay on top of deadlines. We took advantage of centralized communication organized by topic, project, task, and more. We could assign tasks. We could see who is assigned, what is assigned to whom. We could see our assigned work. We got notified when an item required our attention. And finally, we touched on the agility of the platform's drag and drop interface that makes creating and tweaking apps simple and easy. At the height of its use, you can imagine Kintone as a command center, as a place where you pipe in your operational data from various other web applications. And then you can use Kintone as this collaboration layer with your day-to-day operational data in it. So your team can work together more effectively on a platform designed for them to do just that in this day-to-day experience of doing work. So where do we go from here? Let's talk about what's possible for you at work. It's possible to experience ease and flow in your day-to-day. It's possible to make your work and the work of your colleagues easier by setting up the right information for the right environment for collaboration. It's possible to work with tools that are a great match for your requirements without breaking the bank or taking forever to build or requiring technical wizardry. It's possible to get started and see results quickly, and it's possible to do all of that with Kintone.
All right. Okay, Nim, did you want to go ahead and open it up to Q&A? Let's see. I think, are you muted?
How's this? Is this better?
Yes, it's better.
All right. Yes, let's move on to Q&A.
Fantastic. Let's see. If anybody has any questions, please remember to drop those in the chat. Looks like we do have a few here. So one question for you, Nim. What are common types of apps that people create with Kintone?
Very common, great question. So for HR and administration, people commonly use Kintone for PTO management, equipment inventories, job and applicant tracking, performance appraisal, onboarding, document library, internal FAQ. It's also easy to build a ticketing app for internal IT service or customer support. From a marketing perspective, our customers have built apps tracking their campaigns and their content pipelines. A pipeline. If you're doing ticketing, storing information with the intention of it being widely accessible, or if you're looking to consolidate point solutions and lower costs, these are all common use cases.
Great. Wow, that's fantastic. Sounds very multi-purposeful. Let's see here. Here's another question. Why, if someone is, shopping around for different solutions, why would they choose Kintone over other solutions that are out there?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think it comes down to a few things. One is customized, so some workflow, automated reminders, the organization of your data and communication together. Security and accessibility made easy so that only the right people are allowed to see the right things. A mobile app, if you need to capture data out in the field, which might include, taking pictures, photos, Kintone is a great solution. And finally, support. So our customers consistently, they rave about our extraordinary support. On popular review sites such as Capterra, we outperform our competitors on their measurement support, on their measurements for support, and we're really proud of that.
That's great. So you just mentioned a second ago about, how, especially with HR, there are some different, ways that you can limit the information. If someone were to work in multiple departments and have some projects with sensitive information, can you expand a little bit on what those permissions would how they would function?
Yeah. So Kintone security is very granular. So you can gatekeep data at a project level, at an app level, at a record level, and even at a field level. So some examples: if I have an employee database, that employee database has sensitive information, like people's compensation or various other kinds of private information. So I can make sure that employees see only their records. Or they only see certain information in some or all records, like maybe everybody's name and position shows up, but nothing else. Or that only certain employees, like the ones in HR, can see the employee database at all. It's very configurable.
Wow, that's great. Let's see, are there any other questions here? I don't see anything else coming in the chat. If there are no more questions at this time, Nim, was there anything else that you wanted to add before I close this out?
Just want to say thank you. Thank you for being the kind of person that's interested in improving your experience of work for yourself and for your team. Thank you for your interest in Kintone, and if you're considering doing business with us, thank you for your consideration. This recording, the recording of this session, is going to be available early next week. On behalf of my team, Kintone, we wish you great teamwork, great success. Take care.
Great, thanks, Nim. I'd like to thank you, Nim, as well as Kintone Corporation for an excellent breakout session again today. I encourage you to reach out to their team with any additional questions, and be sure to join the networking and exhibitor showcases, which are open for the next hour. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great evening.